This is a video on memorizing the unit circle. Part 1 describes how to memorize increments of 45 degrees or pi over 4 radians. As you can see, when we divide the unit circle into different portions, there are many different angle measurements in degrees and in radians that we need to know. However, the human brain is uniquely programmed to memorize patterns as opposed to just memorizing numbers. So we're going to learn the patterns of the radian measurements and the degree measurements so that we can easily memorize the entire unit circle. So the first thing we would do is we split our circle in half. Okay, we always consider our starting point over here at the end of the positive x-axis, which is 0, or if you go all the way around, 2 pi. And in degrees, it's 0 degrees or 360 degrees. If we go halfway, half of 2 pi is simply pi, and half of 360 degrees is 180 degrees. We can cut our circle in half again, forming 4 equal parts. And once again, we can cut these numbers in half, so half of pi is pi over 2, and half of 180 degrees is 90 degrees. Now we need to figure out what the angle measurement would be down here. Well, it looks like it would be pi plus half of pi, so that's 1.5 pi, or 3 pi over 2, and in degrees, that's 270 degrees. You can also think about it as being 3/4 of the way to 2 pi, so 3/4 of 2 pi is 3 pi over 2, and 3/4 of 360 degrees is 270 degrees. You should now be able to memorize these 4 values in radians and in degrees. Now we want to split our pie again. Instead of 4 slices, we now have 8 slices. And we have to label these degrees and radians. So if we look at our first quadrant over here, we go from 0 to pi over 2. So we've split this region in half. So we have half of pi over 2. Well, half of pi over 2 is pi over 4. Half of 90 degrees is 45 degrees. Now I come over here, and I have pi over 2 plus half again, pi over 2. So that is 3 pi over 4, or 135 degrees. Another way to think about it is that you're 3/4 of the way to pi, or 3/4 of the way to 180 degrees. If I come down here, I have pi plus pi over 4, which gives me 5 pi over 4, or I have 180 degrees plus 45 degrees, which gives me 225 degrees. Lastly, if I come here, I am 7/8 of the way to 2 pi, which is 7 pi over 4, or I'm 7/8 of the way to 360 degrees, which would be 315 degrees. Let's think about this as far as in terms of sharing a pizza. So usually pizzas get cut into 8 equal slices. So if we look at this in terms of degrees and we count up, we can count up in multiples of 45 degrees. So we start with 0, we go up to 45, 90, 90 plus 45 is 135, 135 plus 45 is 180, and so on and so forth. So again, another way to memorize the degrees is to simply add your increments of 45 degrees until you get all the way around your circle. We can also do this in radians. So we have 1 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4, and 7 pi over 4. Looking at this, it should be clear that some of these fractions can be reduced while others cannot. Specifically, our vertical and horizontal lines terminate in angles that can be reduced. For example, 2 pi over 4 reduces to pi over 2. This reduces to 1 pi, and this reduces to 3/2 pi. The diagonal slices end in degree, or rather radian measures that cannot be reduced. So we have 1 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, and 7 pi over 4. So if I look at this, I can very easily memorize this, right? You have a 0, pi over 2, pi, and 3 pi over 2. I can also memorize it in degrees. I can have 0, 90, 180, 270, and 360. Likewise, I can memorize the pattern that occurs for my odd multiples of pi over 4. So 1 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, and 7 pi over 4. Likewise, I can memorize my angle measurements that end in 5. So 45, 45 plus 90 is 135, 135 plus 90 is 225, 225 plus 90 is 315 degrees. This concludes part 1 of the unit circle memorization video.